Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तेरा वनचारी यमुना तेरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय राधा माधव राधा माधव जय राधा माधव जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य सत्तर शिष्य मत अभय चरण अरविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की ISKCON Vividly Founder Acharya Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada की जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य सत्तर शिष्य मत भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर श्रील प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की श्री गौर निताय की श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह भगवान की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की समवेत गौर भक्तविंद की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Sa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurung Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupang Sagrajatang Sahagana Raghunathanitang Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan सहगना ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदनाय प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरतिष्ठे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्ते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 1, chapter is entitled The History of the Life of Ajamila. Text number 24. Tasya prabho asha putra dasha tesham tu obamaha balo narayana namna pitrascha daita bhrisham. Tasya prabhayasha putra dasha tesham tu obamaha balo narayana namna pitrascha daita bhrisham. Tasya prabhayasha putra dasha tesham tu obamaha balo narayana namna pitrascha daita bhrisham. Mataji. Tasya, of him, Ajamila, Prabhayasaha, who was very old, Putra, sons, Dasha, 10, Tesham, of all of them, two, but, Ya, the one who, Abamaha, the youngest, Balaha, child, Narayanaha, Narayana, Namna, by name, Pitra, of the father and mother, Cha, and Daitaha, dear, Bhrisham, very. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, S.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. That old man, Ajamila, had 10 sons, of whom the youngest was a baby named Narayana. Since Narayan was the youngest of all the sons, he was naturally very dear to both his father and his mother. Purport. The word Prabha Ashaha indicates Ajamila's sinfulness because although he was 88 years old, he had a very young child. According to Vedic culture, one should leave home as soon as he has reached 50 years of age. One should not live at home and go on producing children. Sex life is allowed for 25 years, between the ages of 25 and 45, or at the most 50. After that, one should give up the habit of sex life and leave home as a vanaprastha and then properly take sannyas. Ajamila, however, because of his association with a prostitute, lost all Brahminical culture and became sinful even in his so-called household life. Mukam karati vachalam pungul langhaite giring jat kripata moham bande se gurung dinatarinam paramananda madhavam Sri Chaitanya Isharam. So yesterday we are discussing power of association and power of the holy name. That is also association. So if you have good association, then good result. And if you have bad association, you have bad results. So now the life of Ajamila is discussed here. And when he was about to leave his body, he was 88 years old. And at that age, he had a young child. Previous to this verse, there is a discussion how Ajamila was involved in so many sinful activities. Bad association leads to sinful activity. Definitely illicit sex. Then he used to rob, kill, so many things, so many sinful activities he was involved with. Because when we have bad association, sinful desires become very prominent. And when sinful desires are very prominent, naturally, a lot of sinful activities take place. And if you want to involve in sinful activities, you need money. That's why if you don't have money, what will you do? Steal, rob. Money is needed. Without money, enjoyment of this world is not possible. Especially in this age of Kali, people are running behind money because in this age of Kali, people are really interested in sense gratification. So Ajamil was a perfect example. of this kind of activity. But time passes, whether you're enjoying or suffering, we have to come to the stage of death. So Jamil has come to the point of death, 88 years old. So good. And that time he had a young child, very young. He could not speak properly. He could not walk properly. That is also explained. And he used to feed him, he used to play with him. He was so attached to his youngest son. How many sons Ajamil had? 10. Big family. But that time it was normal. Bhaktivinoda Thakur also had 10 children. So big children, a big family with many children was possible because the society was like that. They said a child is grown up and whole village helps. That is a culture. It's not that only parents are responsible. That is the Vedic culture. A child is grown in that way. But nowadays, people don't know who is the next door person or to talk about village. There is no social culture like that. There is no joint family. There is no expanded family. So that culture has gone. That's why people find it difficult to raise children. And definitely raising children is difficult. But when you have support, then it's not so difficult. In the Vedic system, that culture was there. So that's why having children was not a problematic aspect of life. But Ajamila was not leading a very pious life, he was leading sinful life. And Prabhupada is explaining that at the age of 88, having a child is not recommended. So everything has some timings. And Prabhupada writes in the purport, in the Vedic system, household life is meant to be there for 25 years, from 25 to 50. And after 50, Vanaprastha. And Prabhupada is telling after that, Brahmanas should take sannyas also. So that is the culture of Vedic society. But Ajamila was not able to follow that. Why? Because he was not following Vedic culture. Sometimes people say, what is the connection between culture and Krishna consciousness? So culture is the foundation. Culture is the ambience where you can practice Krishna consciousness nicely. It's not that by retiring at the age of 50, you'll go back home back to Godhead. That is not the concept. But by retiring at the age of 50, we can focus on Krishna consciousness better. So culture helps to grow in Krishna consciousness. For everything, you need to have some ambience. If you want to dance, there is a need of an ambience to dance. If you want to sing, you need some surroundings to sing. If you want to play, certain games have certain kinds of ambience, right? If you want to play cricket, if you want to play soccer, if you want to play certain other games, you need some facilities to play. You can play anywhere, that's not a problem. But when that kind of favorable ambience is there, it helps us in a favorable way to do it better. In the same way, Vedic culture helps us to grow in Krishna consciousness. Culture is made in such a way that we become Krishna conscious. And Prabhupada will tell also how naming children is very important. Somehow, although Ajamila was involved in sinful activity, but he named his child Narayan because of the culture, right? Nowadays, people don't keep name like that. They feel it's backdated because God is backdated also nowadays. Because he named his son Narayan, that's why he was chanting the name of Narayan, because he was attached to the child, his son. That will be explained. Text 25. Sabaddha hidayas tasmin arbhake kalobhasini nirikshamanas mumure jaratha bhrisham. Because of the child's broken language and awkward movements, old Ajamil was very much attached to him. He always took care of the child and enjoyed the child's activities. When Ajamila chewed food and ate it, he called the child to chew and eat. And when he drank, he called the child to drink also. Always engaged in taking care of the child and calling his name Narayan, Ajamil could not understand that his own time was now exhausted and that death was upon him. So Prabhupada is writing in the purport for text 25 and 26. Here it is clearly mentioned that the child Narayan was so young that he could not even speak or walk properly. Since the old man was very attached to the child, he enjoyed the child's activities. And because the child's name was Narayan, the old man always chanted the holy name of Narayan. Although he was referring to the small child and not to the original Narayan, the name of Narayan is so powerful that even by chanting his son's name, he was becoming purified. Haren Nama Ipa Kevalam. Srila Rupa Goswami has therefore declared that if one's mind is somehow or other attracted by the holy name of Krishna, Tasmat Kenapi Upayena Mano Krishne Nivesayat. One is on the path of liberation. It is customary in Hindu society for parents to give their children names like Krishna Das, Govinda Das, Narayan Das, Vrindavan Das. Thus they chant the names of Krishna, Govinda, Narayan, Vrindavan and get the chance to be purified. Purport to text number 26. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is kind to the conditioned soul. Although this man completely forgot Narayan, he was calling his child saying, Narayan, please come eat this food. Narayan, please come and drink this milk. Somehow or other, therefore, he was attached to the name Narayan. This is called Agyato Sukriti. Although calling for his son, he was unknowingly chanting the name of Narayan. And the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so transcendently powerful that his chanting was being counted and recorded. Transcendental recording. There was no recording device to record his chanting, but it is recorded. Everything is recorded. Whether it is externally recorded or not, it is definitely recorded in the recording system of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everything is recorded. Sometimes we feel, oh, nobody will know. Do something secretly. Nothing is secret. Because Lord is there and he has a recording device. Everything is recorded. So you cannot escape. In this world, we can manage something. But in the kingdom of God, you cannot manage. because Krishna is expert manager and everything is recorded. So here Prabhupada is trying to remind us that how Vedic culture is very favorable to become Krishna conscious. Even dealing with the child can help us to become Krishna conscious, provided we raise the child in that way. So sometimes we feel, oh, family life is a bondage. The whole material existence is a bondage. But spiritual life depends on how we can dovetail everything in the service of Krishna. Here, Ajamil unknowingly dovetailed this, that by calling out his name, he became purified. And what he did? He named his son Narayan. Very strong message to the parents that Prabhupada is recommending. Please keep the name of the child which is connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Prabhupada also mentioned 4 names here in the purport. He said Krishna Das, Govinda Das, Narayan Das, and Vrindavan Das. Okay. Very good. But nowadays, that culture is slowly disappearing. This is called Agyata Sukriti. And the chanting which was done by Ajamila was at the level of Namabhas. Very interesting point. Ajamila was free from all sinful reaction. His past, present, and future. That is the power of chanting at the level of Namabhas. There are 3 levels of chanting. Chanting with offenses, Aparadiktanam, Namabhas, and Suddhanam. So when we are chanting with offenses, that will give us material prosperity. When we are chanting at the level of Namabhas, we become free from material bondage. We get liberation. And when we chant the holy name at the level of Suddhanam, that will give love of Godhead, Krishna Prema. So here, Ajamila was chanting at the level of Namabhas. It is explained, Ek Hariname Joto Pap Hare, Kono Papir Sadhanai Tato Pap Kore. That chanting at the level of Namabhas can counteract any kinds of sinful activities, past, present, future. That is the power of Namabhas. So sin is bad, but aparad is worse. So here, Ajamil was involved in sinful activity, but he was not involved in aparad. Very interesting. Because he was unknowingly chanting the holy name, indirect chanting of the holy name. That is one example of Namabhas. A person not knowing that this is the name of God, unknowingly, yes, if someone chants the holy name of the Lord, some people say, Hare Krishna, they get the result of Namabhas. So it's very interesting. But problem with the practicing devotee is that we know so much, but we don't practice so sincerely. That's why we are caught up in Namaparad. Ajamila He was sinful, but he was at the level of Namabhas. But practicing devotee, knowing so much, still Namaparad. And one of the Namaparad is maintaining material attachments, even after understanding so many instructions, right? In the glories of the holy name. Still material attachment is there. And that is the root of other offenses. Inattentive chanting. Why we are inattentive in chanting? Because of material attachment. As long as attachments will be there, we cannot be attentive. There is a root. That's why Prabhupada says material attachment and Krishna consciousness cannot go together. As long as material attachment will be there, our car of devotional service will be in neutral gear. Neutral gear means we will do so many things, but car will not move. We can do so many activities in the car, so many things will happen, but car will not move. Why? Because car is at the neutral gear. So material attachment is like that. Material attachment will keep the car of our devotional service at neutral gear. So therefore, we have to come out from this material attachment. And how it can be done? Srimad Bhagavatam explains, we have to hear attentively from realized soul. Then the attachment will be, the knot of attachment will be cut by the sword of knowledge. The sword of transcendental knowledge is so powerful that it can cut the knot. Narad Muni also explained in first canto itself how he developed attraction for Krishna. Especially in the process of hearing. He said that I served the Bhakti Vedantas and took the remnants of them, remnants of Mahaprasad. And by testing that, my all attachment went away. And I developed strong attachment in the process of hearing the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is a process. It is said, Bhakta pada Raj, Bhakta pada Jal, Bhakter Uchchista Tin Sadhanar Bal. Chaitanya Bhagavata explains, Bhakta pada Raj, the dust of the lotus feet of the pure devotee, Bhakta pada Jal, the Charanamrita of the lotus feet of the pure devotee, and Uchchista means the remnants, the Mahaprasad from the plate of the pure devotees are the most powerful means to develop material detachment. You will be completely free from material attachment. And Prahlad Maharaj is telling, we should bathe our body with the dust of the lotus feet of the pure devotees. Then we can develop some attraction for Krishna. That is a power. So the root has to be uprooted. Otherwise, we will not get the result. Uprooting is very painful. Uprooting the desire, uprooting the material attachment from the core of our heart is very, very painful. But unless and until we go through that pain, we cannot experience the bliss of Krishna consciousness. Just like if we have some chronic disease and it is recommended or prescribed that operation is needed. But operation is very painful. But unless the patient goes through that operation, he cannot have healthy body. In the same way, we have to go through this operation of material attachment in order to have healthy life of Krishna consciousness. Painful, but with no pain, no gain. We have to go through the pain, because unless we go through this pain now, at the time of death, what kind of pain, that will be explained here also. Pain of death is like the scorpion bite, 10,000 scorpions bite together. That is the pain of death. So those who are intelligent, they don't want to go through that pain. They are intelligent, and that's why they want to go through the pain of material attachment and become detached during his lifetime. And what happens after that? Then life becomes blissful. They can smilingly give up their body and enter into the spiritual kingdom. That is the result. So coming to the point of Aparajyuktanam means offensive chanting. That gives us material prosperity, and that will lead us to more material attachment. That is the beauty of chanting of the holy name at the offensive stage. Then come to the stage of Namabhas, clearing stage. Just like at the dawn, means before sun shines, the sun is not visible, but we can understand that sun is about to rise. So Namabhas is like that. It's not pure, but definitely in due course, pure name will manifest. And what is the result of Namabhas? Mukti. Will be free from all reactions. What happened to Ajamila? Our Acharya is explaining not only the result of his past act, past, present, and future. What a wonderful benediction. And he'll get the opportunity also. What kind of opportunity? That will be also explained. So point to be noted here that Ajamila was chanting the name at the level of Namabhas. And Prabhupada is pointing out is that he was accumulating Agyata Sukriti. Without knowledge, he was accumulating devotional piety. That's why it is the duty of the devotees of Krishna consciousness movement to give the opportunity to the people of this world to accumulate Agyata Sukriti. That's why Mahaprabhu said, Jare dekho, tare kaho Krishna Padesh. Why? Because as soon as a devotee goes to somebody, as soon as devotee is in touch with any person, definitely that person will get the Agyata Sukriti. That's why the pure devotees, they don't have any business. That's why they move around all over the world. Why? To create that opportunity for the conditioned souls to accumulate Agyata Sukriti. The temples are open. Why? It's an opportunity to accumulate Agyata Sukriti. Ratha Yatra festival is the best example to give that opportunity of the people of this world to accumulate Agyata Sukriti. Rathetu Vamanang Desta Punarjanmana Vidyate. If anyone sees the Lord Jagannath on the chariot, it is explained that he will not take birth again. He will be free from the bondage of birth, death, old age, and disease. That is the potency. Because he gets the Agyata Sukriti. And what is the result of Agyata Sukriti? He will develop some taste of devotional service. That is a power. Then after that, by the association of devotees, he will start the process of sadhana bhakti. This is explained by Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So Agyata Sukriti is the root. So bhakti, what is the root of our bhakti? Bhakti. Bhakta. A devotee is the cause of our bhakti. Nobody can give us bhakti except a bhakta. So I give the example, maybe someone in the past life was a mango tree. And the mangoes were offered to the Lord. And because of that, the mango tree got the Agyata Sukriti. His process of devotional service started. And who is the cause of that Sukriti? Devotee. Maybe someone was a cow in his previous life. And cow milk was offered to the Lord. So, because of offering of the cow milk, who got the Agyata Sukriti? The cow. And who is the cause of that Agyata Sukriti of that cow? Devotee. You are understanding the point? How we are dependent on the mercy of the devotees. That's why bhakti is the process of dependence. Our bhakti begins when we are in touch with the devotee. We can start our devotional service at the level of sadhana bhakti because of the devotees. We can continue in our devotional service because of devotees. And we can get perfection in our devotional service because of devotees. And we can continue our devotional service in the spiritual world because of devotees. And Krishna is also with devotees. Whether you like or don't like, you have to practice to stay with the devotees. And in Kali Yuga, that is the austerity. Stay together. Very difficult. People like to do bhajan alone. People are too much. And Prabhupada said that feeling of loneliness, liking loneliness, is also anartha and very, very unfavorable for Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada also made some heavy statement on that. So we have to be with the devotees. Ajamil could not manage his problem because he did not have association of devotees. But if he was in the association of devotees, then devotee could have do the counseling. It's not good you are doing. And he did not have anybody to help him. So devotees are the helping hands. Sometimes maybe little difficult, but that is very, very helpful. There was a devotee who used to criticize like anything. Srila Bhakti Chandra Saraswati Prabhupada's time. Left, right and center he used to criticize. And devotees are fed up with him. But somehow Srila Bhakti Chandra Saraswati Prabhupada liked him. And when he was dead, somehow devotees are happy that somehow he left. But Srila Bhakti Chandra Saraswati Prabhupada said, and they are also telling all bad qualities about him. Then Srila Bhakti Chandra Saraswati Prabhupada pointed out his good qualities also. So it is said, there is so many stories. The critic may be very painful for a sadhaka, but the critic is very favorable for advanced devotees. Srila Bhakti Chandra Saraswati Prabhupada used to say that I should be surrounded by critics. Because critics will keep us in line. If you are surrounded by all so-called followers, they will put you down. They will put you down. We should not be surrounded by yes man. But we like to be like that because we like to be glorified. Which people we like? Who glorifies us. But that's not so favorable in our Krishna consciousness. Because if we hear glorification, that will lead to what? That will lead us to go down in our spiritual life. But if we hear our own bad qualities, then what will happen? That will help us to improve. So criticism should be taken as room for improvement. That's the way advanced devotees take criticism. But we should not criticize. But I am telling, if someone criticizes, how we should take. But as a devotee, we should not criticize, because that is very, very unfavorable for Krishna consciousness, who is criticizing. But the person who is criticized, that becomes favorable. Because if someone is talking bad qualities about someone, so that bad quality of that person will go to that person who is criticizing. So it's good or bad? It's about whom it's very good. But who is criticizing? He'll absorb that quality, bad quality. So we should take it positively or negatively? Positively. But we cannot take it positively. Why? Because we think we don't have any bad qualities. That's a problem. We have ego, mountain-like ego, that we are perfect. How people can find faults in me? And we become disturbed. As soon as we hear that someone is talking bad about us, we feel disturbed. So the proof is that we are not advancing in Krishna consciousness when we become disturbed by hearing our criticism. So coming back to Ajamil, time is up. So text 27. Sa evang vartamanagya mrityu kala upasthite mating chakara tanaye bale narayana abhaye. When the time of death arrived for the foolish Ajamila, he began thinking exclusively of his son Narayan. So it is explained in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sukadeva Goswami says, Etavan Sankhya Yogabhyam Sadharma Purinishthaya Janma Labho Paro Pungsam Ante Narayana Smriti. The highest perfection of human life achieved either by complete knowledge of matter and spirit, by acquirement of mystic powers, or by perfect discharge of one's occupational duty, is to remember the personality of Godhead at the end of life. Somehow or other, Ajamila consciously or unconsciously chanted the name of Narayan at the time of death, Ante Narayana Smritihi, and therefore he became all perfect simply by concentrating his mind on the name of Narayan. It may also be concluded that Ajamil, who was the son of a Brahmana, was accustomed to worshipping Narayan in his youth, because in every Brahmana's house there is worship of the Narayan Shila. This system is still present in India. In a rigid Brahmana's house, there is Narayan Seva, worship of Narayan. Therefore, although the contaminated Ajamila was calling for his son, by concentrating his mind on the holy name of Narayan, he remembered the Narayan he had very faithfully worshipped in his youth. So in that way, Srila Prabhupada is trying to explain, unknowingly, indirectly, Ajamil was remembering Narayan. And that is a perfection of our life. Why we are practicing devotional service? To remember Krishna, especially at the time of death. Ante Narayana Smritihi. Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Anta Kale cha mameva smaran mukta kalevaram japrayati samad bhavam jati nastatra asangsaya. There is no doubt, if someone can remember Krishna at the time of death, he will go back to the spiritual world. So how that happens? we'll discuss tomorrow. And what happened to Ajamil also will be discussed, how that because of sinful activities, 3 Jamadutas came. Sattaguna, Rajaguna, Tamaguna. 3 Jamadutas came and Narayana. That's why 4 Vishnudutas came. So we'll have some interaction between Vishnudutas and Jamadutas and how Ajamila become purified. Not only by chanting of the holy name, and also by chanting of the holy name, he became purified of the sinful reaction. But by the association of Vishnudutas, he got the opportunity to chant the holy name purely and went back home, back to God. And by that we can understand the supreme position of the pure devotees. So that will be explained wonderfully in the future verses. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any question or comment?
Thank you, Maharaj, for very nicely going into the depths of and giving us nice lessons. I had 2 questions. One is, as we heard that it is mandatory to go through the pain to experience bliss of the spiritual life. If I am not wrong, that is what was mentioned. So,
The second question.
Second question. So I wanted to understand that this one, because Bhakti is independent and it is not dependent on anything. So with that conception, I wanted to clarify. Second one is we generally, I had heard that the main lesson which we take from this Ajamil, that he chanted the names inoffensively. So still he got this benefit of getting a chance to practice devotional service. So how much more benefit will one get if he chants consciously?
Without offense.
Without offense, yeah.
Not only consciously. If you chant consciously, with offense, you'll get the result of now aparad. But most of the devotees, those who commit offenses, getting. One is unconscious. That's because he was unconsciously chanting, and because of that, there was no offense. That's the advantage. But we are so much conscious, and we are hearing so much about offenses. So that has result in our life. So we commit offenses. So if you are conscious, but if you commit offenses, then you will get the result of offensive chanting. Only of conscious doesn't give the result. We have to chant with purity, without any offense. Then we'll get the result of pure chanting, which is Krishna Prema. Okay. And your question was Bhakti. How we get Bhakti? From Bhakta. But Bhakti has different level. Ado Shraddha, Tada Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya. Anartha Nibriti. That Anartha Nibriti is painful. That stage is painful. After that, blissful. Pre-operation, post-operation. Okay. Clear?
Thank you, Maharaj.
Krishna Maharaj, Dandavad Pranam. So my question is regarding in the purport, it was mentioned Ajamila consciously or unconsciously chanted the name of Narayana. So unconsciously we know that he was chanting because he was taking his child name, but here it's mentioned consciously. So what does exactly?
He also explained why. Because in his youth he was worshipping Nara and Sila. So while chanting, then he might have remembered that Narayan also. That's why he's saying consciously and unconsciously. That is the effect of chanting. Unconsciously, he was Narayan conscious. Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Krishna Maharaj. So
Somebody should coordinate who is raising hand, should get first, who is raised hand first. Okay, no problem. Yes.
Maharaj, my question is, you are telling at the end that critique is very painful for a sadhaka, but it is favorable to advanced devotees. So one who is in an authoritative position, so if he has to give corrections, how can he give without in the mood of criticizing that devotee and in only for that devotee's benefit?
So correction should be done privately. That's the etiquette of correction. You should not correct publicly because ego is very high. And when you criticize someone in the public, then what will happen? The respect of other devotees for the devotee may be affected. That's why correction should be done privately. And who can correct? Who is not having the malice or envy, he can correct. Just like Prabhupada says, Guru has to correct. It's the duty of the Guru to correct his disciple. So qualification to correct is his heart should be free from malice and envy. Then he can properly correct someone. Out of love, out of concern, out of the mood of helping. If that mood is there, then you can correct. But you should have that position also. There are many criteria. Only the authorities can correct. The parents, the teachers, the gurus, they can correct. They have the right to correct and they have the duty to correct. Okay.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for giving us a nice insights into this story. Just one question came to my mind, Maharaj, like this is a very hope-giving story of Ajamil. Now, especially in India, we see like every family, like they will keep their children name, and some many now at least they will keep the name in the name of Lord Narayana, Vishnu, or this one. So it's quite possible that when they are calling with the love and affection the child, they are also chanting the pure holy name of the Lord. So like, does it mean like they will also, of course, we see that may not be so much grossly indulging in the sinful activity like what we see in the story of Ajamil, but definitely they would have chanted holy name purely. And
they are telling that Ajamil was grossly involved. Nowadays, people are not grossly involved. They are much more grossly involved.
Like they are chanting holy name at least.
No, you made a point. I understood your question. You made a comment that Ajamila was grossly involved in sinful activities, but nowadays people are not involved in sinful activities grossly. Something you wanted to mention like that point?
No, my point was like definitely they in people also will have a bright this one, like they will also go back to Godhead, at least in the successive lifetimes. That was the point I was trying to make, Maharaj. Like Ajamila got second chance, like he went to Haridwar and he perfected and went back. Similarly in India, like if you see, there are so many family, they're calling out the Lord's name very purely, may not be consciously, unconsciously. And so there is a higher chance that they have a way ahead that go back to Godhead.
Obviously, if someone chants the name of the Lord, knowingly or unknowingly, he'll get the opportunity, but he has to use the opportunity also. If opportunity is properly utilized, he'll definitely get the chance, but it's not automatic. That Jamila had to go through serious practice of devotional service at Haridwar, which is not so much explained. Then he went back home to Godhead. We take going back home back to Godhead very cheaply. By chanting the name unconsciously, he'll go back home back. That's not the truth. For going back home back to Godhead, you have to develop love of Godhead. What Ajamil developed by serious practice at Haridwar. We cannot avoid that. Without that, it is not going to happen. It's not automatic. Oh, I chanted my son's name, whose name is Narayan, so I should go back home back to Godhead. Yes, you will get the chance, but you have to practice it. That's why it's misunderstood sometimes. Sometimes Other day, people are telling, oh, at the time of death, something will happen, he'll come back to Godhead. So nothing is going to happen at the time of death. At the time of death, the soul will leave the body. And how he will leave the body? According to his consciousness. That's going to happen. And next body, according to his consciousness, he'll get the next body. That is a science. But we become very sentimental and, oh, he was chanting whole life, so he must have gone back to Godhead. That's not the conclusion of Shastra. Even if you chant millions of lifetimes also, you cannot go back to Godhead. Unless and until you develop love of Godhead. You understand?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, you mentioned that to come out of material attachment, we have to hear attentively and taking the dust of lotus feet of pure devotee and water which has washed the lotus feet and remnants of foodstuffs. So these things, how to achieve this looks like it is rare.
What?
How to get these things?
Go to the supply store. Go to the supply store where it is supplied. So who will get it? Who is sincere? He will get it. Narad Muni got it because he was very, very sincere. It's not that, oh, I heard Bhakta Prabhuji, Maharaj, give dust, love of Godhead. It's not like that. What kind of faith you have? It is said in Nectar of Instruction, one dip in Radha Kund, Gopi Bhav. So many dips, nothing happening. So Radha Kund has lost the power or what? One holy name can give love of Godhead. One name. But we are chanting for years and years. So it should be understood in a proper mindset, with a proper background also. Okay. It's available, provided you want that or not. Before Maharaj wanted, immediately Narad Muni was available. So whether we are ready for that? Are we ready?
Yes.
If you are ready, then definitely Krishna will arrange. If you are not ready, Krishna will definitely not arrange. Because Krishna knows whether you are ready or not. Okay? Give behind.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for the wonderful narration. Maharaj, please correct me if I am wrong in my understanding. So it is mentioned Antya Kalecha Mameva Smaran Muktva Kalevaram. So it is about the mind, not with just the chanting. So I may chant with the tongue, but actual happens in the mind. Smaran should happen. Then one can go back to Godhead.
Yeah.
So I may chant Krishna's name at the time of death, but if I don't remember in the mind, so that I may not be going back to Godhead, right? So it is Shravanam and Kirtanam. So I may doing Kirtanam, but Smaranam I am not doing.
We become so much mechanical. Chanting, remembering, chanting, not remembering. You have to be Krishna conscious.
Yeah.
What is the meaning of Krishna consciousness?
Conscious of Krishna.
Conscious of Krishna. What does that mean?
Thinking of Krishna.
Thinking of Krishna for how long?
For all the
That is the meaning. If you remain Krishna conscious 24 hours a day, then you can enter into the spiritual world.
Yeah.
And that person will chant, that person will hear, that person will remember everything at the time of death. Okay?
So if I can just chant and don't remember, so then I may
that's why that's happening for us. We are chanting very loudly, but mind is somewhere else.
So
that is called inattentive chanting. So inattentive chanting means you'll get material prosperity and you take birth in a higher planetary system. You'll get some wonderful benefit.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes, thank you.
What? Did not get. He got.
Hypothetically,
Why
that-
hypothetically?
no,
Okay.
I want to understand that
Yes.
if he left his body in Namabhas, then will he get mukti? or
Yes.
Mukti. He will-
Yes. Why he got the chance? Because of Sadhu Sangha. Vishnu Duta. Any other question?
Maharaj, in continuation to Vishwapati Guru's question,
Okay.
I was asking about the name. Is it that when they keep the name of the Lord to their children and they keep calling, and that gives them the opportunity to get the association of the devotees or the opportunity to come to the bhakti from where they have to endeavor to develop
It's
the
connected. I told you, na, by chanting the name unknowingly, that will give them agyata sukriti. And when it is accumulated, then he'll slowly develop a taste for devotional service. Then he'll get sadhu sangha. Then he'll start sadhana bhakti. That is the process. Okay. So, question?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. My question is that how to find out that we are chanting on the level of offense or on Namabhas?
Huh?
How to find out
How to?
whether our chanting is on the level of aparad or Namabhas?
Namabhas means you'll feel more detachment. Namabhas, and when you're committing offenses, you'll feel more material attachment. That's a symptom. Namabhas means you'll feel more detachment. Bhakti parasana bhava virakti rannatracha. You develop internal detachment when you are chanting more purely. But when we are chanting with offenses, then we'll be very much attracted by the so-called achievements of this world. That is a symptom. And many people feel very happy in that level. Things are happening. Those people want material prosperity, no? So when that happens, they feel very happy. And they keep on increasing that number of rounds.
Maharaj, is that if we are on the level of Namabhas, our mind does not wander while chanting?
Namabhas is very advanced stage. Haridas Thakur is telling that Koti Janma Brahma Gyane Je Mukti Nai Sudhamatra Namabhase Je Mukti Hai. By doing Ashtanga Yoga, by doing Jnana Yoga for millions of lifetimes, one cannot attain Mukti. But simply by Namabhas, one can attain that Mukti. It's very advanced stage. We should not think of Namabhas. It's not that easy. That's why maybe in the next time Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Harinam Chintamani explains what is Namabhas, what is Suddhanam, what is Aparad. Very wonderfully explained. Different levels. I just gave some little idea. Okay? You are not happy by hearing that.
No, I am convinced, but still I have a little doubt that Ajamila, he chanted unconsciously only, but he was not remembering the Lord.
Yeah, that's
at
why
that
it's
time.
Namabhas. There are 4 types of Namabhas. One is that indirectly chanting the holy name of the Lord. That is one kind of Namabhas. There are other kinds of Namabhas also. Okay?
Okay, now while chanting, we'll be walking, but our concentration will be on the chanting.
We cannot be, our problem is that what Ajamil got, we cannot get.
How to
Because
get
we
it?
already know.
How to get that?
We are conscious. So Ajamil's things is not applicable for us. So
He's
that
an
chapter is
example,
not
no,
there.
Maharaj. He's an example, so we have to follow him.
No,
And
no,
we
you
should
cannot
try.
follow because you already know. You have to follow his second chance. But before second chance, you cannot follow. Okay? Because that is gone. Hare Krishna. Online.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for wonderful discourse. Can you please explain Ajnata Sukruti?
I explained. I have been explaining. Agyata means without knowing. Without knowing, accumulating devotional credit. Just like you have a bank account and somebody without telling you transfer some money. That is called Agyata Sukriti. So good news or bad news? ISKCON managers feel very happy by that. Hare Krishna. So hopefully we can
Maharaj,
one more. Okay, last.
Thank you for Nectarian class, Maharaj. Maharaj, after getting spiritual name from spiritual master, but still call material name from people. How can I understand this, Maharaj? What will be the result?
Who is calling him materially?
The outside people.
So he's so sympathetic for the outside world. Very good. So you can tell him that I have two names. One is legal name and one is spiritual name. And you can request them, if you don't mind, you can ask, or you can call me by my spiritual name. By that you feel also happy and they are also getting some credit. Is that okay? Hare Krishna. Very interesting. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Come on. Who is doing it? Looks very empty.
Hare Krishna devotees, Sadanat Pranam. I'll end the Zoom session. Krishna willing, we'll meet tomorrow again at 8 o'clock. Next. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhovya patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo. Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada.